back to our panel, and we're going to ask that you all will project and enunciate. Y'all remember that? I forgot what sitcom that was from, but project and enunciate, because we're not going to use the mic. So, sitting right here, we have Cedrick Bridgeforth. Wow. Miss Doris Thomas, a historian. Hartsel Shirley, and Dr. Elijah Nicholas. Let's give our second. Put my notes down here, so that's why I had to go from a memory there. All right. So Cedrick, preacher, reacher, and teacher. I remember when I read the title of your book, there were so many different things that kind of went through my head. Would you tell us about your story, about your book, Alabama Grandson, Black Gay Minister's Passage Out of Hiding? Wow, how powerful.
Yeah, thank you. I was born and raised in rural North Alabama. I now live in wonderful sunny Southern California. Right now it's hotter there than it is here. So I'm glad to be here. But I grew up in the church all my life. I can count the Sundays that I have not been in church. And I'm also an ordained elder within the United Methodist Church. I found myself in various leadership roles within the church, and I appreciated that. But all the while knew that my gayness, if I can use that term here, that was an issue, for the church. It was an issue for my family, and if I'm being completely honest, was an issue for me at some points in trying to reconcile that. And so this story is really just chronicling my journey to authenticity of life in leadership within the church, and a challenge, and I hope an invitation to others to do likewise.
Awesome. So again, I'm going to ask you the same question I asked one of the earlier panels. What was the aha moment? One of the big aha moments that you had in writing?
Yeah, the aha moment for me was really about the process itself, because this started as a therapeutic exercise. My therapist had challenged me to write some of my story. Because he said, you just don't talk enough, even when you're in here. But you said you enjoyed writing, so write something. And so I took to the exercise of writing a series of letters to my grandma, someone I loved and respected, probably more than anybody who's ever walked the face of the earth. But she died in February of '89. And so I started writing a series of letters to her, introducing my current self to her, talking about some of the lessons I had learned through some of the experiences I had. But the aha moment was that those weren't lessons that I had learned in adulthood, but those were mantras I heard. They were, aphorisms that I heard her say, keep on if you want to, just random kinds of things. But I found that those seeds were planted in childhood, and I was living out those lessons in my adulthood. That was the aha.
Wow. So if you had to say something to grandmother today,
thank you. Thank you for planting those seeds, and thank you for expressing what love really looks like on this side of the nation.
Wow. Let's step it up. So right next to Cedrick, we have Miss Doris Thomas. I want to call her a woman of the movement. And in the anthology that she talks about her journey and her life living through the civil rights movement. Tell us a little bit about your story and about the anthology that you're part of.
Well, the anthology is made up of 12 senior women, 55 and up. I was the second oldest. First was a 93-year-old who passed just before we were trying to publish. I am now not 80 years. Thank you.
All right there and say black don't cry.
So let me say that my daughter has been trying to get me to write there since she was. talk after me because she does the story. And I am now learning that I have undervalued my story. And so I really appreciate my daughter just to stand on me and beg me to write my story. And because of that, I am a part of the Senior Citizens. And one day I saw that they had a writers group, and I decided to go with it. And thanks to my daughter and the group, I started writing. It's because of the feedback and the way they respond to my story. And so I write, well, I do have some up-to-date stories, but most of mine, I started writing, the first story I wrote was in the 1950s. And so I write about what I remember. And because I was so young, I'm remembering what I'm writing about that trip to see if it's true, because I can't believe that I can remember things that far back. And so I found one of the stories in Moonshine, Poison Moonshine. And it's a true story that happened in Atlanta in the 1950s, where poison white light distributed in Atlanta. 38 black people died, 2 white, but we don't talk about the number that were blind and lost everything. That got over. And I found that people don't know that they're struggling. People my age don't know that. So I decided to write it and research and found out, man,
Well, what's the name of the anthology?
Eyes of the Beholder. And it's because we're writing what we remember seeing with our eyes, what we experience. And I can tell you all 11 of these things, all the story. There is familiar with the one Penny, who he has published. And so we bounced, we learned a lot from each other. We were getting ready to publish. COVID came up. We were meeting once again. The center closed down. We went to the International Park and met in the park until it got too cold. And once it got too cold, we decided to try Zoom, but then we moved to phone conference call. And so I did the interview every Tuesday conference call.
So you mentioned Penny Duncan's who could not see here today, but 2 of her books that she has published through Reason for Narrative Media, which is my company, are Through Penny's Eyes and Childhood Silence and Secrets, which document her journey growing up, being raised by a foster mother, and the abuse that she suffered. So those books are here. Ms. Doris has those books, and if you want to support this fitting, absolutely see Ms. Doris. So next to Ms. Doris, we have Hartsel Shirley. So Hartsel, tell us about your books and tell us about, you're a little bit of everything. Again, you're another preacher, teacher, but you're also a songster and you're an author as well.
Well, something that she said, what she talked about, really struck me because I think most I'm just talking about from like the early contributors all the way up to probably all the people who are undergraduate. In part because of that's right. And in part because of the community is cultivated in church people. So it took a long time to really express myself. And write the way that I want and be genuine to be authentic to not care I had cared before. I undervalued myself and put value in everybody else. It was hard. I'm learning to like everybody to tell me that. So this book here is about you and it's about learning to do somebody actually not me, although there are pieces of me in all of that. But he moved to learn and he able to be welcome to the matter. Far back from me. Just a little bit. There's also there's one who's born who isn't to do it. And she and her girlfriend were having that. So the whole thing is so those people that all in here, one of them said, I love you. So this is the first part of the trip. And some of the things that we have to read is part of this mission that he wrote. One thing two of the books that I think is and it wasn't intended to be like that. You know, okay. So the music, I haven't done any music yet because everything needs to be changed. Everything needs to choose to go out.
Awesome. So, what would you say to today's youth about walking in authenticity?
Be obviously not female. You can be inspired. Don't worry. Stop the classes. Don't be you.
And I like what you said. In my 25th year of life, I am learning. I believe in my 25th year of life. I'm learning that walking in authenticity may cost you everything. But what you gain is so much greater and so much more. And speaking of the one who knows about walking in authenticity, we have Dr. Elijah Nicholas, author, actor, and trans advocate, and man of cloth. Wow, what an intersection. Tell us about you and your journey.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm Dr. Elijah Nicholas. I'm from Mount Health, and I would be remiss if I did not pause to show gratitude. Thank you. I was emotional just thinking when she said, when you said that, you told something. I was in period. And so to sit in here with this amazing thing, with someone who remembers what happened in 1950, I'll never take that. And I'm Dr. Elijah Nicholas, and I am just so proud. I'm an African American trans man, and I was born out of the sign of about 6. I transitioned about 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and I am living my most authentic, best, happiest life. If you're a dictionary for authenticity, I promise you my dictionary. Because it was when I realized that living authentic, I mean, truly living authentic, not talking about it, not preaching about it, not writing about it. Living in authenticity, that is really my life. Just the level of joy, just happiness, harmony, just feeling.
Awesome. And so how long has it been since you have begun this journey?
So I started mental health therapy in 2017, and I started hormone replacement, which I achieved in 2008. And so the journey, like Right. I lived life as a closeted lesbian. I served 25 years in the military. And so in 2017, I learned that I worked at the Apostle Phil Eric Hartsel. I had a great work and I was anybody else hear that? In a matter of 6 months, all of the ministries that were covering closed. Former beautiful black divorce separated from the territories about their transition. I'm so grateful. I am so proud.
Now, last year I had the opportunity to sit down with people and do a docuseries entitled Queer and Authentic. My name is Hartsel Shirley. And we talked about the relationship now with your former wife.
Yes.
Tell us, if you don't mind, the reason for that separation.
Well, probably last year you asked me that, I still had an egocentric answer. And I would say that the reason was my transition, right? But when I had the therapy that I had, they had much less to do with my transition. And me wanting to be right, me wanting to be in charge, all of these things that my former wife and I were talking about. So I'm not sharing right. But at the time, we had differences in our terms as far as my former wife married me, and I respected the fact that I could no longer be the one that she married. And so we decided to do it. And again, it was a very painful process.
Wow. Painful, beautiful process. Woo! Joy and pain together in the same sentence? Wow. Okay, you're about to have to take me out of here in just a minute, all right? All right, so what are you holding there in your hand?
So, Menudo is one of my children's books. It's the book that I published in 2020. And it's the story of an African American little girl who's navigating the journey who was once her auntie. And it's a beautiful story. Really quickly, my aha moment was when I was thinking, how do I have this conversation with my nieces and nephews and their cousins? And so I did one of those people out there, and there was nothing with black faces. Nothing. And so to the point where I got sick,
here's what I am loving about this entire panel that we have here. We are fluently in a space that is authentically black and we are also in a space that is the former site of Stewart Avenue United Methodist Church. Is what this library is sitting on. And we're having conversations about sexuality and spirituality at the same time. How powerful is that? And so imagine if we were free or deliberate to have these conversations beforehand. How much trauma a lot of people would have been saved from if we were free to have these conversations. Well, we're free now, and that's all that matters, right? Moving forward. So, one final question. Where does and this is for all of the panelists, where does your inspiration come from? Like I said,
If you asked me that, 2 years ago, my answer would be very different. So I have to say now, my inspiration comes on the heels of Alabama Grandson. The inspiration comes from the relationships that I've been able to revisit, reframe, reform, reconnect because of the space that I'm walking through. So my inspiration comes from my nieces and nephews that I'm able to text and call and talk to. They talk to my partner and want to know how he's doing and all that sort of thing. It's not something that happened before. So my inspiration, comes from them, and that's not a place that everybody would come from. My little sister, right? And Cedrick, so. They have a camera. We always been close and cool, but she's always been my ace. But just a broader connection that I have with her. It's really great.
And woman of the movement.
I think, growing up, reading, I love reading. I started reading when I was 5. And I just read anything and everything. And every time I read, anybody can read that you'll see, well, in books long as mine, I couldn't even say, why would they do something so stupid? I don't understand, and I never understood the books. And I didn't read. I started college late, and I took a black class, writing class. And when I opened the book and started reading, I recognized myself in the character. And I was an adult. I went to junior college. My fourth son went to Morehouse, and that's when I learned to start to do something about me and recognize me in the book. So then I just started to think about things I had experienced or saw when I was growing up. And I said, I want to write things that people might not know about. Because what I found when I would talk about things that I experienced or saw growing up, people who lived in that land would call me a lie. And said that if who were my age, so that didn't happen. Well, why are you lying like that? And I can remember one lady heard that and said, well, how do you know about that? I'm your age. I don't remember anything about that. And that's crazy. My face was hurt. And so I just realized a lot of things that I didn't see did in my door.
Wow, absolutely. You thank God for your daughter, and we thank God for your story. I've been often told that when you retire from something to something. And we are grateful that you have chosen to share your history, your story with us. Please continue to do so. Absolutely.
And sort of, I'm not doing that, but I think that my friend Betty, one of the, there have been stuff that I wrote there, especially about murder happening in my hometown, but they called it instead of committing suicide. But it wasn't possible back in 1960. In jail, by himself. So, yeah, so I went to one in the last week. The only one I've ever been in my life that had to be certified, city pharmacy health service, and sheriff. And city health service, after having certified. So I'm asking questions. I'm the youngest person in the room. These are all sorts of old people. So I'm asking what happened to that. I've never been. Sure, we're not gonna talk about nothing. So immediately, I got one. I'm not asking you to see that. So it took 17 years to write the book. So the whole thing together. That's what it's sort of cool. Use the paper. Pay attention to the news. And I started to look up. You look at my hometown, Waterloo, Iowa, you'll see that stuff in because it's that big. But especially when it comes to people like one of the songs is It's Okay. And It's Okay is that you're going to come up with two main people. But the inspiration was to keep you
Awesome. And lastly, Dr. Elijah.
Yes, so I am inspired by love, and specifically the mysteries, and history of beautiful mysteries. I said, when I wake up, it's like, how can I show this? How will I love? And those things often get cracked with really blogs.
Wow. How powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Cedrick Bridgeforth, Ms. Doris Thomas, Hartsel Shirley, and Dr. Elijah Nicholas. Wow, let's give them another hand.